Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be looking at the January CXC Mathematics Paper 1 2017. Without further ado, we get right into the questions. Now we start with question 1 that says 2/3 all squared is equal to. Now this little 2 here is what tells us that it is squared. Now what does it mean? Whenever you square something, it means you multiply it by itself. In other words, I'm going to have 2/3 multiplied by 2/3. Now, how this works is that whenever we multiply fractions, we multiply numerator by numerator. So it's 2 by 2, which is 4, and denominator by denominator, which is 3 times 3, which is 9. So your answer is actually 4 nines. All right. Now, if it was a 3 up there, it would actually multiply 2/3 by itself 3 times. All right. If 4.3 times 0.37 is equal to 1.591, then 0.43 times 370 is. Now this is a manipulation of multiplication by powers of 10 and division as well. Now what we know is that whenever we multiply by 10, we move one place forward, 100, 2 places. So, and of course, what is interesting is that whenever you multiply two things, if you manipulate one value, the same impact is felt by the answer. So for example, if I were to divide 4.3 by 2, the entire answer would be divided by 2. So that is the concept of the manipulation here. So the question is, how do I get from 0.43, or how do I get from 4.3 to 0.43? I would have to move one place backwards, which is symbolic to dividing by 10. All right, so this will become 0.43. Now, if you divide one aspect or one part of it by 10, the answer would also be divided by 10 whenever you're multiplying. So this is also going to move one place backwards. All right, very good. Now you have 0.37 and it becomes 370. That is symbolic to moving 3 places forward. So 1, 2, we'll add a 0 here, 3. That is the same thing as saying we multiply by 1000. So this becomes 370. Now, of course, whatever happens to one of the value will also happen to the answer. Now, clearly, the answer would be multiplied by 1000 as well. So you'd have to move 3 places to the right. Now, bear in mind that the point is right here because you had divided by 10. So now you're going to have to move 3 places forward. 1, 2, 3. Which takes us to 159.1. And that is option C. Now, question 3 said, in standard form, 208.06 is written as. A similar aspect to what is being applied here is being applied in standard form. Note, however, that whenever you have a negative power, it's the same thing as dividing. So the negative power indicates that you're dividing by that value, and the positive power indicates that you're multiplying. Now, when you write something in standard form, the number to the left of that must be a number from 1 to 9. Now, clearly the number to the left of the point is 208, which is too large. So we're going to have to move until the number to the left becomes a number from 1 to 9. All right, however, the important thing is that you can't change the value of the number. So for example, if I move one place to the left, which indicates that I'm dividing by 10, to keep the balance, I would have to multiply by 10. Because if I multiply by 10, I would actually go back to the original spot. If I move 2 places to the left, I would have to multiply by either 10 to the second power or 100. It means the same thing. So I would have to multiply by 100 for it to go back to the original spot. Let's see if it makes sense. So this becomes 2.0806. If you multiply this by 100, it goes back to 208.06. So I have not changed the value of the number. Now 100 means 10 times 10. And whenever you multiply 10 by itself, it becomes 10 to the second power, or 10 squared. So your answer is option A, as in cat. All right. Question 4, it says if 560 is shared in the ratio 2 to 3 to 9, the difference between the largest and the smallest share is. Now there are so many ways to work out a ratio question. I could find a larger share, I could find a smaller share, and I could subtract them. That's one way to do it. But there's a next aspect to do it. If you look at the ratio, 9 represents the largest share. The smallest share is actually 2. The difference between the largest share and the smallest share in the ratio is 5. Well, 9 minus 2 is 7, sorry, 7. Alright, and that's we get from 9 minus 2. That's how we get the 7. So you have the larger share has 7 parts more than the smaller share. Now, here's how we could do it. We could find out what is the size of each share. Now, if you add up everything here, 9 plus 3 is 12, plus 2 is 14. There are 14 shares. Alright, the difference between the largest share and the smallest share is 7. So, what I can do is that since there are 14 shares, I divide 560 by 14 to see how large each share is. Good? Now you can do this step by step if you don't know automatically how to break this down. Like for instance, we know that 14 goes into 56 4 times. But what if you can't figure that out right away? We should at least know that 7 can go into both 56 and 14. Alright? So we can say 7 into 14 goes 2 times. 7 into 56 goes 8 times. Alright, 8 7 56. 7 into 0. No, whenever you have a 0 at the end, you don't necessarily have much problems because 7 into 0 is 0. Alright, you just pay attention to the number in front and you simply just care about the 0. Alright, and then you can say 2 into 2 1, 2 into 80 goes 40 times. But it's very important that we know that the timetable like 14 to 56 goes 4 times. So one share is 40. Good. Now, once I know one share, I know that the difference between the largest share and the smallest share is 7 shares. So it's going to be 7 of this. So I'm going to go 40 multiplied by 7, which 4 7s is 28. And of course, like normal, 7 times 0 is 0, put back the 0. So you get 280. Alright? That is one way of doing it. What some persons might be tempted to do is to go, alright, 2 shares. It's 2 shares out of 14 shares in total times 560. So I think this might take a little bit longer. Alright, 14 into 14, 1. 14 into 560 goes 4 times. 14 into 56 goes 4 times. And 14 into 0 goes 0 times. And then you go 2 times 40 would give you 80. Alright, and of course you do the same thing with the 9. 9 out of 14 multiplied by 560. Alright, 14 into 14, 1. 14 into 56 goes 4. And you put a 0 there. And then you go 9 times 40. So you go 9 times 4 is 36. I'll put a 0. And then now you would actually go 360, which is the largest share, minus 80, which is the smallest share, and it becomes 280. Oh, this is a lot of work. Alright, I think this way might go quicker. So it depends on what you're more comfortable with, but it's always good to know the quicker ways. Alright, we're moving to question 5, and it says if 60% of a number is 90, what is 4/5 of the number? Alright, now percentage, as you know, means per 100, so I could go 60 over 100. Because we're comparing fractions, we would want to put 60% as a fraction, hence the reason why I'm breaking this down to a fraction. So that becomes 0 6 out of zeros. Remember, this is the same as dividing by 10. And we can use a number to reduce 6 and 10, which could be 2, 3 over 5. So this 60% right here, this amount right here is really 3/5. Now here's a trick. Both fractions have the same denominator. So you can ignore the denominator completely because they are of the same part. Both of them are 5. So all we need to do is to compare the numerator because the denominators are already the same. Alright, so that doesn't weigh much in the comparison. It is the numerator that will tell us exactly what to do. Now, this is how we make our life very easy. Ignore the denominator. It's like you're saying that 3 parts of a number is 90. What is 4 parts? Now, if 3 parts is 90, what it means is that we can find 1 part by dividing 90 by 3. This is going to give me 30. So I know that 1 part is 30. What I want is 4 parts. And of course, the denominator doesn't have any impact since they're both the same already. So if 1 part is 90, so this is 1 part, then to get 4 parts, it would simply be 4 times 30. Now 4 times 30 gives me 120. So the answer is C, as in cat. Now, of course, there's a next way that we can do it. What we can do is to find the original number, and the original number is always going to be 100%. So if I want the original number, instead of saying 60 over 100, I could go 100 over 60, since the original number is always 100%, and that is whatever you want is what normally goes as your numerator, times 90. Alright, so we use the zeros as much as possible. We could cancel 6 and 9 by using 3. 3 into 6 goes 2. 3 into 9 goes 3. 2 can go into 100, and that goes 50 times. And 3 times 50 is 150. Now, what I would do is to find 4/5 of 150. Alright? And of course, ignore the 0, use a 5. 5 into 5 is 1. 5 into 15 is 3. 5 into 0 is 0. And 4 times 30 is 120. I kind of think that this is a longer way though. Of course, when doing maths and multiple choice, you want to use techniques that get you the answer quicker. Alright, question 6. There are 40 students in a class. Girls make up 60% of the class. Like girls are normally the majority in most classes. 25% of them wear glasses. How many girls in the class wear glasses? So first of all, I want to know how many persons are girls, and that's 60%. So that's 60 over 100. And we have 40 persons in the class. Alright? So we can break this down. Use up their zeros. 6 times 4 is 24. What this means is that you have 24 girls. Now, 25% of these girls wear glasses. Now, there are certain things you should know about percentage, like 25% is really a quarter. Alright? So, what I would do is that since these are the persons who are girls and 25% of them wear glasses, I would simply use a quarter times 24. Alright? Quarter, 4 into 4, 1. 4 into 24, 6. So the answer is 6, which makes the answer A. If you're uncomfortable with that, note that what I did is the same thing as saying 25 over 100 times 24. 24 because there are 24 girls, and 25% of those 24 girls wear glasses. You would actually get the same answer, right? 25 into itself goes 1. 25 into 100 goes 4. That is how we got a quarter in the first place. Alright, so it says that if question 7, if 3n is an even number, which of the following is an odd number? No, even number. 2 is an even number. 3 is an odd number. All I do is I simply take the even number and I add 1. So 3n plus 1 automatically is an odd number. You can also subtract 1. If 2 is an even number. 2 minus 1 is 1, which is an odd number. So you can either take the even number and add 1 to get the odd number, or you take the even number, which is 3n, and subtract 1 to get the odd number. So it's just 3n minus 1. Alright, I hope you understand that. Let me use a different scenario. 9 is we're using even numbers. 8 is an even number. 9 is an odd number. Alright? 8 plus 1 is going to give me an odd number. 8 minus 1 is going to give me 7, which is also an odd number. So you know exactly what it means. And if you forget what odd numbers are numbers that are not exactly divisible by 2. Like 3 gives you a remainder. Alright? Okay. Question 8. 99 times 101 has the same value as. Now, of course, in maths, sometimes this is an approach that allows us to use shortcuts sometimes. Because I can write this as 99, put this in a bracket, because 101 is the same thing as saying 100 plus 1. Alright, now once you have a bracket now, you start thinking about the distributive property. Whatever is on the outside will multiply everything on the inside. So it's going to be 99 times 100. Alright, but by the plus sign, 99 will also multiply 1. So it's 99 times 1. So it's 99 times 100 plus 99 times 1, which is C as in cat. All right, question 9. It says, what is the least number of apples that can be shared equally? That can be shared equally among either 6, 8, or 9 children. Now, of course, for it to be shared equally, then of course all three numbers must be able to go into it exactly. What do I mean by that? All right, now, if for instance I have 9 children and I have 10 apples that can be shared equally, because you're going to have one extra apple, but you want it to be shared equally among either 6, 8, or 9, which means that all of these numbers should be able to go into them without leaving a remainder. In other words, this is just a nice little way of asking you for the lowest common multiple. Which number can 6, 8, and 9 go into? All right. Can it go into 36? We know that 8 cannot go into 36, so that's out. 9 cannot go into 48, so that's out. 8 cannot go into 54, so that's out. But all 3 can go into 72, and this again is about your timetable. So please ensure that whenever you go in the exam, you know your timetable, right? Question 10. What is the value of the 2 in the number? All right, let us know our position. 6 is in the tenth, T-E-N-T-H. 2 is then in the hundredth, and 1 is in the thousandth. And when I say 100, it's symbolic to 2 over 100. When we say 6, it's symbolic to 6 over 10. But we're focused on the 2, so it's going to be 2 over 100. Question 11. It says that if x and y are two finite sets, such that the number of elements in x is 9, the number of elements in x intersect y is 4, and the number of elements in x union y is 15, how many elements are there in y? Now the union is normally what tells you how many things you have between the two sets, right? That is what the union tells you, 15. Good. Now the intersection tells you how much is common between the two sets. So the intersection is telling us that 4 is common. You have 4 things that are common between the two sets. So the first set has a 9. The second set, well, the intersection, what is common is 4. So the big question now is how much is in set y. Now please remember that how the union works is that if I were to add the two sets, which is x and y, and I subtract the intersection, I would get the union, right? So what number can I add to 9 so that when I subtract 4, I get 15? That's a very important question that we're asking here. So let's go. Is it 5? No, because 9 plus 5 is 14. 14 minus 4 is not going to give me 15. Is it 6? 9 plus 6 is 15. 15 minus 4 will not give me 15. Is it 10? 9 plus 10 is 19. 19 minus 4 is 15. Alright, and why do we subtract? Because remember the intersection is counted twice. So that is why you actually have to subtract it. Alright, question 12 refers to the following Venn diagram. In the Venn diagram, the shading region represents, alright, now we notice that everything is shaded apart from any part of P. So it's everything outside of P. Now outside, an expert for outside is what we call complement. So this is actually P complement, right? And how we get that? Because everywhere is shaded apart from any part of P. So it's outside of P. And once you say outside, you say complement. Question 13. It says, of a class of 32 students, 17 study music, 20 study art. What is the least possible number of students who study both subjects? And we're going to apply a similar concept. As I'm saying, there are persons who will study art and who will study music, but they will end up being counted twice. They will be counted when you count music, they will be counted when you count art. So, To find out how much study about, we simply combine music and art. So music plus art would be 20 plus 17, which is going to give me 37. Now, remember that there are 32 students in the class. So how do I get 37? Because there's a certain amount that is counted twice. So to find out how many were counted twice, I would have to take the 37 and I subtract the number of students who are in the class, which is 32. I can't be at 37 if there are 32 students in the class. So it means that when I count this, when I subtract this, I get 5. So 5 students were counted twice. Or you can say that 5 students did both. Alright, here's our next Venn diagram. It says, alright, you have a universal set, those who play games, which tells me that H is hockey and V is volleyball. So there are 3 students who play nothing at all outside. It says the number of students in each set is indicated. How many students do not play volleyball? Alright, let us see where volleyball is. Volleyball is this circle right here. Alright, this is volleyball. The number of persons who don't play it. So it's anything that doesn't fall in the volleyball circle, which is 5 over here and 3 over there. So that becomes 8 in total. 8 persons don't play volleyball. Once it's not in the volleyball circle, they don't play it. 15. Question 15. The cost of a calculator exclusive of sales tax is 120. Exclusive means that the tax wasn't included any at all in the 120. Susan bought a calculator and paid a sales tax of 10%. How much change would she have received? Now there are so many ways we can do this question, but let us do it the simplest way. Let us find out if the tax is 10%. Let us find out how much that is. Alright, so it's going to be 10 over 100, percentages per 100, multiplied by the 120. Alright, so zeros makes life so easy when you reduce them. So it's $12 that you have that is going to be taxed. So in other words, they're going to pay the 120. They're going to pay the tax, which is 12. So the total amount of money that they would pay is going to be 132. But listen, look at the question carefully. It says, how much would you get from a change? How much change would you receive from 140? So you spend 132, you have 140, your change has to be $8. Alright? That is not such a bad question at all. Alright, let's go down. Question 16. It says at the end of any year, a car is worth 5% less than it was worth at the beginning of the year. If a car was worth $9,500 in December 2016, then its value in January 2016 was. Alright, very good question. Says, so no. December 2016, that's the end of the year. January 2016 would have been at the start of the year. So in January 2016, it was more expensive than this. Alright? In December 2016, it would have lost that value. So how much was it worth? Alright. Now, this is how we work questions like this. It was 100%. The cost that was in January represents 100% of the car worth. It's going to become 5% less, which makes it 95%. What I want to find is the value when it was 100% before the 5% came off. So it means that whatever you want to find goes at the top, which is the 100%. At the end of the year, when the 5% comes off, it becomes 95%. And that is what this 9,500 represents. So I multiply that by 9,500 so I can get the value before it came off. Now, here's how we make the thing work for us. As I say, ignore the zeros. 95 into itself goes 1 time, so that's 1. And of course, 95 into zeros, let's give you about the zeros. So this becomes 100 times 100, which gives me $10,000. So that was the worth of a car in January 2016, before December 2016 when the 5% came off. Always remember that in maths, the original price is always 100%. Never forget that concept. Question 17. An article bought for $125 was sold for $175. The profit as a percentage of the cost price. Now, if you bought something for $125 and you sell it for $175, you sell it for more. You made a profit. That profit is actually 175 minus 125, which is 50. So you have a $50 profit. But what you want is as a percentage of the cost price. So it's going to be $50 over 125 because that's a cost price. And of course, you multiply by 100 because you want your percentage value. And there are a lot of 25s around here, so you can play around. 25 can go into a 50 two times. 25 can go into 125 5 times. We can use 5 to go into 100. 5 into 5 is 1. 5 into 10 is 2. 5 into 0 is 0. So 2 times 20 is 40. So that would be a 40% profit. It's a whole lot of money. All right. Now, please note, you have to find the profit in terms of the amount of money first. The cost price is 125, so you put it over 125. And of course, because you want it as a percentage, which means per 100, you multiply by 100. And you simply break it down. Now, once again, you need to know your timetables. A television set costs $350 cash. When bought on hire purchase, a deposit of $35 is required, followed by 12 monthly payments of $30. How much is saved by paying cash? All right, hire purchase is normally more expensive because you normally pay down something and you get a longer period to pay. When you pay cash, you pay all the money once, right? So you just have to pay one money. Now, hire purchase is used by a lot of companies, such as, for instance, in Jamaica, you have Court Singer. A lot of companies use hire purchase because they make more money. All right, it's better for them. So it seems like a good deal for you at first because you get a long time to pay, but you're gonna pay way more money. Now, my hire purchase price is gonna be my deposit, which is first 35, plus my monthly installments, which is 12 times 30. So that's going to be 35 plus, no, 12 times 30. You don't need to do any long multiplication. Ignore the 0 at first. You say 3 times 12 is 36. And then you add a 0 to the end. So we have 360 plus 35, which is going to give me 395. Now, this is way more expensive on hire purchase than just paying cash. Because when we subtract them, 395, we take away 350, we end up with 45. So you save $45 if you were to just pay it by cash, which is a good saving because this now depends on the currency. All right, question 19. A company employs 12 gardeners at $26 per day and 8 clerks at $17 per day. What is the mean wage in dollars of 20 employees? If I want to find the mean wage, I'm going to have to find the total amount of money that was paid out. So let's start with the gardeners. All right, so it's going to be 26 times 12. You can work very quickly. Or you can go 2 times 26 is 52, or you can, the regular route that you normally go. 1 times 26 is 26. So that's 2. 5 plus 6, that's 11. 1 and carry 1. That's 3 12s for the gardeners. And then, of course, you have the clerks, which is 17 times 8. 8 7 is 56. 8 1 8 plus 5 is 13. All right, so we have 3 12 plus 1 36. 6 plus 2 is 8. 3 plus 1 is 4. 3 plus 1 is 4. So that's 448. That is the total amount. But you want the average. So you divide the total, which is 448, by the amount of employees, which is 20. All right. Now, how do we divide this thing by 20? Pretty straightforward. We ignore the 0, so we divide by 2. At first, 2 into this, we can say 2 into 4 is 2. 2 into 4 is 2. 2 into 8 is 4. All right. So that's when we divide by 2. But now we're going to have to divide by 10 to even out by the 0. So, once you divide a number by 10, you simply tend to just move one place backward, which is $22.40. And that's the end of question 19, going into question 20. All right, it says refers to the following table, which shows a rate charged by an insurance company. And of course, in this case, it says 25 cents per 100. What this simply means is that for every $100 that you make, you're going to spend 25 cents. All right. Content insurance, 50 cents per 100. For every 100 that you have in content, you're going to spend 50 cents. All right. So it says, how much will a person pay for insurance if the house is valued at 50,000 and the content at 10,000? Bear in mind that for house insurance, it's 25 cents per 100. So if I have $50,000, how many? I'm gonna have to find out how many hundreds do I have in 50,000. I simply divide 50,000 by 100. Now this is straightforward. You cancel the zeros. So I have 500, 100. All right. So for each of those 100, I'm gonna spend 25 cents. So I'm gonna have to multiply 25 cents by that, which could give me in cent. Or I could convert 25 cents to, I could simply convert it to dollars, which is 0.25. But you could always go with the 25 and then you divide by 100. It depends on what you want to do. So let us say we multiply this by 25. All right, we're going to be using the easy technique. We're going to say 5 times 25 is 125, and we'll add back the zeros. But this is in terms of cents. Now, if I want to get it in terms of dollars, I simply divide by 100, which means I can simply cancel those two zeros. All right, so I have 125 here for housing insurance content. 50 cents per dollar, per $100. All right, so I simply take 10,000 and I divide it by 100. So I can find out how many $100 are there. I get $100. So it's going to be 100 times. So this 100 tells me that there are $100, which means that I'm going to pay 150 cents. So I multiply that by 50. You simply just take the zeros and add them. So it's 5,000. Now, of course, I can't work with this because this is in terms of cents. So I divide it by 100 to get it in terms of dollars because 100 cents make a dollar, which is to simply take away the zeros. So that gives me 50. So it's 125 plus 50, which is 175. Here we go. All right, not bad so far. We go up to question 21. It says, if the simple interest on 800 for 3 years is 54, what is the rate per annum? Now, there are so many ways we can do this. We can start out with the simple interest formula. Simple interest is equal to principal times rate times time over 100. Now, if you want to make this easy, you can just put it in as it is. We have a simple interest, which is 54. So you replace simple interest by 54. The principal is 800. All right. You don't know the rate, so you're going to put rate. You know the time, which is 3 years over 100. And we'll just break this down. Cancel down the zeros, and we can do this because we are multiplying. So we have 54 equal 8 times 3, which is 24 times the rate. We divide both sides by 24. So, of course, where this is concerned, I can simply use a number that can go into both 54 and 24. Let's say for this one, we start with 2. 2 into 24 is 12. All right, we don't have a problem with that. And we can say 2 into 54, 2 into 5 is 1, carry the 2. 2 into 24, sorry, 2 into 5 is 2. You have a remainder of 1. 2 into 14 goes 7. So we have 27 over 12. This which can still go further because I could have used 3. All right, so we can say 3 into 27 is 9, and 3 into 12 is 4. So we have 9 over 4. Now, they don't want that, so we're going to have to give it as a mixed fraction. 4 into 9 goes 2 times, and the remainder is 1. So it's 2 1/4. which makes it option B. Now, if I had used the highest common factor, of course I would have gotten to the answer quicker, because I could have used, in this case, I could have used 6. All right, question 22 says Tom bought a pen for $60 and sold it to gain 20% on the cost price. How much money did he gain? All right, so he bought it for this. He wants to gain a profit of 20%. So we simply just find 20% of the cost price, which is 20 over 100 times 60. Now, working the zeros, that's going to give me 12. Now, how much money did he gain? All right, now I don't want you to mix this up, If he had asked how much money he got overall for the cost, or how much money he sold it for, he'd have sold it for 72, because he'd have added the 60 plus the 12. But because you bought it for 60 and you're going to sell it for 72, you really gain 12. All right, because remember you had paid 60 for it, so what you gain is 12. So you have to be very careful of how the questions are worded. Question 23 is a fraction, and how we add fractions that we normally find the LCM. But good for us is that both fractions have the same denominator, which automatically makes the LCM 5x. Once you have the LCM, and since you're the same, it goes back, you simply just add the numerators. 4 plus 2 gives you 6. So it's 6 over 5x. All right, question 24. If x is an integer that satisfies the inequality. Now, with an inequality like this, we read it from the middle. We said 2x is greater than 6, but less than or equal to 8, which means that anything that I do, I have to do it to all sides. So, to get x by itself, I would have to divide by 2. All right, greater than 6, but less than or equal to 8. I divide here by 2, I divide here by 2, so I have to divide here by 2. So x is greater than 3, but less than or equal to 4. So greater than 3, but less than or equal to 4. Alright, if I had divided by a negative, the signs would have changed, but I didn't divide by a negative, so it remains the same. Question 25, and of course this looks like a substitution question. It says if x is equal to 4, y is equal to 2, what is the value of this? Now all you need to do, guys, is replace the various things with their values. So you're going to replace x by 4, so you're going to have 4 squared plus 3y, y is 2, we put the 2 in a bracket, all over xy, x times y, which is 4 times 2. So that's going to give me 16 plus 6 over 8. 16 plus 6 is going to give me 22 over 8. And of course, we can break this down using 2. 2 into 22 is 11. 2 into 8 is 4. They want it as a mixed fraction. 4 into 11 is 2. And the remainder is 3. So it's 2 3/4. D as in dog. Question 26. It says the expression negative 2 times all of x minus 4. So we want to distribute negative 2 times x is negative 2x. Now this is where persons will make errors, and we want to point it out. And negative 2 times a negative 4 is going to give me a positive 8, because negative times negative is positive. So I'm going to have a positive 8. So it's negative 2x plus 8. Alright, and if you want me to write it out, it's negative 2 times x. Alright, now of course then you have a next negative 2, which is negative 2 times negative 4. So it's negative 2x, and negative 2 times negative 4 is positive 8. Alright, it says if m asterisk n is equal to the square root of all of m squared minus n squared, then 5 asterisk 3. All it means is that m is now 5 and n is now 3. So everywhere we see m, we put 5, and where we see n, we put 3. So I'm going to have the square root of 5 squared minus 3 squared. Now 5 squared is 25, so I'm going to have 25 minus 3 squared is 9. So I have the square root of 16, which turns out to be 4. So the answer is B as in boy. Alright, going down, question 28. It says James saves X dollars each month, but in March he saved $5 less than twice his usual amount. In March, alright, it says he saves X each month, but in March he saves 5 less. Less means that we subtract, alright? So that's subtraction there. Twice his usual amount. Twice his usual amount is X. So twice would be 2X. Alright? And then it's 5 less. And of course, less means subtract. So we subtract 5. So it's 2X subtract 5. That's question 28. Question 29. It says if 3 open bracket x minus 1 minus 2 open bracket x minus 1 is equal to 7, then the value of x minus 1 is. Now, here's how we look at it. Since you want to find x minus 1, that is what you want to find. What we can do is call it p. Because p is x, so let x minus 1 be p. So you're going to have 3p minus 2p equal to 7. 3p minus 2p is p. P is equal to 7. So remember that p was x minus 1. So if p is equal to 7, then x minus 1 is equal to 7. So the answer is B as in boy. Alright, take it down to question 30. Now, question 30 says, what is 8a all squared? Now, whenever you multiply things or you take the product of something, that means that by laws and indices, once you raise it to a power, then each thing in the bracket will be raised to a power. So in other words, 8 will be squared times a, which will also be squared. 8 squared is 64. And a squared remains as a squared. So we have 64 a squared. So the answer for 30 is D as in dog. Alright, so we're going to stop here, and then in the next